People often talk about the spiritual third eye or inner eye associated with the pineal gland and are sometimes associated with the pituitary gland. But what about the inner ear or the third ear and the experience of hearing spirit, hearing God's voice, or having clairaudial experiences? What is the inner ear? How does it relate to the sacred secretion process? What purpose does it serve on the spiritual path, and how is it activated? Let's explore. The inner or third ear allows us to have what's known as clairaudial experiences. This is when we hear the still small voice, 1 Kings 19:11, during sleep, meditation, and sometimes just in general. Clairaudience is the power to hear the internal words. Clairaudience is the magical ear. This voice is not simply imagined, it's actually audible. It's a head turner. During the peak of my awakening phase, I heard the words seek vision being whispered like closely in my ear. It was so tangible. It was as though someone had leant in and had said the words directly into my ear. I was just so blown away, and I knew that the experience was profoundly significant on my journey. As time went by, I learned that this experience and others like it were part and parcel with the inner anointing, the sacred secretion and awakening process that was beautifully and gradually unfolding within me. Indeed, the alchemy of ascension causes many physiological and energetic shifts in the body, mind, soul, and spirit. There are 3 groups of chakras: the lower, physiological; middle, personal; and higher, spiritual. The physiological energize the desires of the flesh. Development of spiritual qualities activates the higher chakras. As a person grows spiritually, these chakras go into motion. Through their unfolding comes the gift of seeing into the 4th dimension, clairvoyance, hearing in the 4th dimensions, clairaudience, and a higher awareness. The sages of India, known as the Hindustani, link clairaudience to what they call the super ear, powered by the throat chakra. They believe that a person acquires conceptual synthesis, or the ability to hear usually inaudible sounds, by developing the throat chakra. The Hindustani consider the Akasha, or source, God, to be primordial sound. And this idea is also conveyed in the Bible when it says, in the beginning was the word, or logos, the primordial sound, and the word was with God, and the word was God, i.e. the sound, the vibration, the logos is and was God. The well-known teacher, spiritual leader, and eminent endocrinologist, Dr. or Swami Sivananda, assures us that with the purification and development of the laryngeal plexus and the thyroid gland, or so the throat chakra in general, we can control Akasha. In Hindu and yogic philosophy, Akasha is considered to be the first element of creation and the one that pervades all the other elements of creation. Controlling Akasha implies a very high level of spiritual mastery as a metaphysician. skills over the subtle aspects of existence. Swami Sivananda talks about attaining this kind of mastery in order to actually overcome the great pralaya. And pralaya is a term used to describe a period of dissolution or destruction that marks the end of a cycle of creation, a phase that some spiritual leaders say we're actually on the brink of right now. The Great Pralaya refers to the ultimate dissolution, when the universe is dissolved and enters a state of dormancy before the next cycle of creation begins. So Sivananda's teachings insinuate that with the development of the throat chakra and the inner ear, one can achieve a state of existence or consciousness that transcends even the most challenging illusions of reality. He says that to achieve clairaudience, one must submerge themselves in daily meditation with the intention of listening and hearing the still small voice of God. Then, during periods of sleep, you will be able to hear spiritual guidance. And according to Samael on War in Logos Mantra and Theurgy, clairaudience can be activated by using the mantra chess. Vocalization of chess for the Vishuddha throat chakra and activating the inner ear. This vocalization must be performed as follows. Prolong the sound of each letter. The combination CH, ch, letter chet, is considerably abundant in Hebrew mantras. It has an immense magical power. The vocalization of each mantra makes the magnetic center, chakra or disc with which it's related, to vibrate. The S is intimately connected to fire and is vocalized by giving it a special type of intonation. This is an acute hissing sound similar to the sound that compressed air brakes of any given machine make. Now, this book also includes other guidelines for activating and developing the magic ear, so it is a great resource if you're looking to take your research and practices further in this area. He that hath an ear, inner ear or clairaudience, let him hear, understand what the Spirit said to the churches, or chakras, and that is Revelation 2:29. Hearing what Spirit says is about intuition, understanding or inner standing, and aligning with our higher self to ascertain what the still small voice of God or true source love or the Akasha is saying. It's this alignment and elevation of consciousness that the writer of Revelation conveys in all of the symbols and allegories of that Bible book. John's consciousness was transformed and elevated enough for him to develop the inner senses, the spiritual senses, thus allowing him to see and indeed hear, Revelations 1:15, the angelic light realms or the 4D plus realities. The auditory system consists of the outer ear, the middle ear, the inner ear, and the auditory pathways to the brain. With external hearing, sound waves are collected by the outer ear, transmitted through the middle ear, and converted into neural signals in the inner ear, which is the cochlea. These signals travel via the auditory nerve to the auditory cortex in the brain, where they are then processed and interpreted. This area of the brain plays a crucial role in how we perceive and understand spoken language, how we interact with music and other auditory stimuli. The inner spiritual ear involves the same auditory pathways in the brain as the outer ears do, but with heightened sensitivity and perception that then allows for the interpretation of non-physical vibrations, or of usually inaudible vibrations and frequencies. This dual perspective highlights the interplay between our outer physical senses and our inner spiritual capacities, suggesting that with practice and intention, we can indeed develop an enhanced ability to hear and to interpret spiritual sounds, the music of the spheres. And here's how the throat chakra is specifically connected to the inner ear, to the cochlea, and why exercising and clearing this energy center helps to develop the inner ear. The thyroid gland is located in the throat chakra, and its secretions, like all endocrine secretions, have a ordering effect and a controlling effect over all the involuntary or autonomous activities of the body. And this intelligent involuntary spiritual system makes our heart beat and initiates our breath without us even having to think about taking a breath particularly. Specifically, the thyroid gland secretes hormones such as thyroxine, T4, which is crucial for regulating metabolism, for growth and cellular regeneration, including the development and maintenance of the auditory or hearing system. Thyroid hormones play a significant role in the development and function of the cochlea, of the inner ear, the auditory portion of the inner ear. They influence the metabolic activity of cochlear cells, which are responsible for converting sound vibrations into neural signals so that we can perceive what's being heard or what sounds are happening within there. The inner ear relies on a delicate balance of fluid and electrolytes, and thyroid hormones help maintain this balance by regulating ion transport and cellular metabolism within the cochlea. Thyroid health ensures the proper myelination of nerves, which is also essential for the rapid transmission of auditory signals, so hearing in real time. So dysfunctional thyroid activity can lead to hearing impairments or loss, but an optimal level of thyroid hormones allows for good hearing and enhances the body's sensitivity to subtle energies and frequencies, making a person more receptive to clairaudient experiences. Esoterically speaking, the thyroid's connection to Venus, which is associated with harmony and receptivity, and the parathyroid gland's connection to Mars, our association with power and taking action, reflect a balance of energies that are necessary to develop clairaudience. The interplay of these energies regulated by thyroid hormones is thought to enhance our psychic abilities and allow for a harmonious reception of spiritual messages, while an overactive or an underactive thyroid might actually disrupt this delicate balance, affecting one's ability to perceive clairaudiently. So with all this in mind, it's really clear to see how the organs and glands of the throat chakra are connected to and facilitate the inner spiritual ear. And let's now see how Jesus's baptism and the preserving and racing of the sacred secretion, or the Christ oil, has an invigorating effect on the throat chakra, and thus the development of spiritual hearing. Jesus is said to be 30 years old when John baptizes him in the river Jordan, CSF. Jesus' 33 years of life symbolize the 33 vertebrae in the human spine. Therefore, we know that Jesus' 30th year and baptism must correlate with the 30th vertebrae of the spine. The 30th vertebrae of the spine is C4, the fourth cervical vertebra. The top of the thyroid gland is level with C4. So when the kundalini rises to the throat chakra, it's the thyroid hormones mentioned earlier, like thyroxine, that baptize and purify the body in a very literal sense, because thyroxine is essential to life. It's a crucial hormone. It actually disinfects and clears all the channels of the autonomic nervous system. And it seems as though the invigorated flow of thyroxine at the height of the kundalini or sacred secretion experience is what tunes and opens the inner ear to spiritual frequencies. Other than using the mantra chess as suggested by Samael on Raw, and devoting ourselves to daily silent meditations as advised by Swami Sivananda to harmonize the throat chakra and activate the inner ear, we can also use other mantras that send enlivening sound waves through the glandular system to unblock and activate the chakras. Chanting and singing is a wonderful way to stimulate, to heal, and to harmonize the thyroid gland and to promote balance in its secretions. And another thing that I have to talk about that you need to be mindful of when you're considering the health and activation of the throat chakra is our choice of words and the way we express ourselves with our voices. If we speak hurtful words or dishonest words, their harmful frequencies and toxic vibrations are registered in our bodies immediately. It's involuntary, it's automatic. And this causes blockages and destructions within our own systems, as well as in whomever the words were aimed at, if they take them on board. And this will, of course, inhibit the spiritual senses as a result. Our words are born in the Vishuddha throat chakra. This is our creative center. It's the horizon of the microcosmic body, where air becomes fluid, or fluid and earth become air, depending on how you look at it. It's a transmutational hub of divine activity and manifestation, as it says in Proverbs 18:21. The life and death are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall know the fruits thereof. Speaking is an alchemical process where breath, spirit, and sound vibration combine to create words, powerful, transformative, and creational frequencies that very much shape our moment by moment experience of reality. words that resonate with the frequency of love, gratitude, joy, and compassion fuel the inner alchemy of ascension, aligning and healing the throat chakra and thus invigorating our higher senses. Through the inner ear, we get into touch with the cause of all that is. We listen to the instruction and work in harmony with it. We follow the designs of the great artist. Man exercises his highest dominion by establishing himself in the I Am, the Christ consciousness, and thinking God's thoughts after him. By realizing life and then breathing this holy life into every atom of his being, man unfolds the strength, the beauty, and the perfect poise of spirit, and thus develops the Superman. And that's from How Does Man Exercise His Highest Dominion by Dr. Wong. In conclusion, the inner ear and clairaudial experiences, hearing the still small voice of God, are very much facilitated by the sacred secretion process and by throat chakra health. Enjoying your practice time when the moon is in your sun sign and further into the month if you can, and participating in rejuvenating practices like meditation, detoxing, breath work, and yoga will bring you steadily along your spiritual path and allow you to hear and perceive the beautiful sounds and prompts of God and of the invisible light worlds. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a pleasure to journey with you all. As always, the links to my books and courses and other resources can be found in the description box below this video. May divine love manifest itself in you all. Always and in all ways. Namaste.